Hello everybody, welcome back to Jigsaw C Stuff, and we're back with a T1 Ranger, a build that is definitely taking longer than just a morning, like the Yak did. And I will, either before this video or the next video, will be sort of some post flight thoughts on the Yak. Spoiler alert, very good. So yeah, we're back with the T1, and I have done a little tiny amount of work off of camera. There we are. I've put the antenna through the fuselage, so it can go there behind the wing. The only problem is it does do that and stick in the ground, which isn't great. So yeah, the plastic tube that holds the carbon boom is in there as well, so I had to sort of like dig up to get the antenna cable out, but that is there. Something I may be interested in doing, I can find bits. Is it in here? No. It's been a bit of a nightmare lately finding things. Things seem to go walkies. I would like the wheels and tyres, because what I'm thinking is, so there's one thing, there's a tyre with a hub in it. I need the other hub. Because what I'm wondering is, this supposed to go like Lego. So there must be a screw that goes in them. Okay, so I've got some screws to find, but oh shit, I hope that comes out. I put the leg in the wrong side, and I was very concerned that I can no longer get that leg out. Oh dear. Yep. To be honest with you, if it's a VTOLing, it doesn't even need the wheels really, and that would give us maybe a little bit more height for this. Come on. This has been nothing but a pain in the arse to put through this aerial wire. I think I'm going to glue that in, and then the wire could just bend. Can I take these out? Yes. Another thing I have found out is the battery that Painless 360 uses. There's a little bit of narkiness about it, but I covered it in the series, didn't I? Well, I've watched all your videos multiple times and I haven't managed to find it. So either you did, but very briefly, or you did, but not giving me the information that I wanted, or whatever. But I'm a little bit narky, although at least he replies to his comments. I eventually scrolled down to another comment where he was narky again, but then did say it was a 2200 4S, I knew it was 4S, but 2200 4S long range edition from Jen's Ace. I'm sure at one point Hobby King very briefly brought out a line of lipos that were like, oh, it's a 3000 4S in a 2200 shape and weight. Clearly mustn't have been very good because I can't find it. I'm sure it was Hobby King that did them. Their 4S thing seems a bit all over the place, so I'll probably stick with good old Hobby RC. We like Hobby RC. But yeah, what are we doing today? Well, we're basically trying to fit all the bits in. Off camera, I did also manage to print the Painless 360 mount for the flight controller. So that'll sit in the back there. I'll use some double-sided foam tape to stick that to the flight controller. Again, we've roughly decided where the receiver's going. It's going to go back here. The GPS is going back there, and we have had that previously fitted. So basically, we now need to get everything fitted and sorted. So GPS is going to go in second, because obviously I need to get to this hole to put that in. The receiver is somewhere here. So that's the receiver, so we basically need to get that connected. Tell you what, let me grab a sanding block. Okay, so I've just roughed it up, as you can tell, so the glue will take. Medium zipper gap, and this, I'm wearing a nice shirt, so please don't get glue on it, please don't get glue on it. So try and pop it through again. I want it to go so see, we've got it there. I was guessing we sat hovering above the flight control, which may or may not be a good idea. I don't know. But there we are. That's what it's going to look like when it's finished. So let's be brave, and I know this is off camera, but ho hum. Let's get our medium super glue. There's a hole in it. I will say this Zap stuff is very good at not getting what's it up. Push it in. Make sure it stays roughly vertical. Blast it with the Zap of Destiny. I don't know what it's called. Kicker. It's, what time is it? I don't have my watch on. It's 10 o'clock at night. I've been at work today and I'm knackered. Righty huzz then. Let's pull the cap back on the glue. Kick her away. Yeah, there we are. That is the receiver antenna on. What I'm probably going to do next, can the receiver fit through that slot? Yes, it can. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to get this sort of permanently connected. That's going to go on there, and then in here I'm not sure if this heat shrink I'm about to use technically came with a GPS. Yes, that's far too big for that. I'm sure we did get a little bit of heat shrink tube for the flight controller. In fact, I have found said heat shrink for not the flight controller, the receiver even. Can I get the connector through here? Yes. How big do I want it to be roughly? About half the size it actually is. That's fine, I'd rather it be that way around than the other way around. Try and not snip one of the wires. So put that on there. Grab lighter. And then we get the fun and games of trying to make sure I don't melt them. Also, I don't have the fancy road mics on because they're out of battery. Of course they are. So, yeah. Shrinky. Done a bit jar grill, but never mind. So that is that. Heat shrink will help keep that antenna on, and we can just run that through there. So that's the antenna base ready to go. I'm not going to put it in yet, just because I think the flight controller really needs to go in first. But what we do need to have a look at sorting out is this. So that's obviously been fitted all right. That is the Walk Snail air unit. But what we need to look at doing is attaching the antenna, because there's obviously no antenna there. Now, in the last episode, I did explain the snake tube, the control snake tube. This blue stuff fits perfectly for your antennas. So if I show you again, if you didn't watch the last video, you should watch it. But it fits really snugly into that tube. So I'm going to use this as our method to mount the tube. But what we need to do first is just take it out. Now, where does that antenna connect to? There. So the antenna gets connected under this little doobry flopper here. Let's in fact, what I should probably do is look at what tube I can put in and put that on now. Turns out, Jesus, you need something stronger than scissors. Cutters, this will do, in fact. I'll cut a second piece. It isn't quite as mauled as that one. Doesn't need to be too big. And you can use pliers or God's pliers in the form of a tooth just to re-round it off. Obviously, cutting it like a little saw blade or something would probably be even better. You know, a spinning saw blade, a circular saw blade, you know what I mean. But never mind. Right. There we go. I'm going to push it on as far as I can for now. And then, this just pops on with the old connect, whatever it is. That's alive. Let me get it close to my face so I can actually see what I'm doing without breaking the elevator up on the bench. Chuck it on the floor. Chuck it on the floor. Put the screw back through. He says. Okay. So, we pull everything tight. And we can put it just like that. But again, probably going to take the antenna off. For fuck's sake. Okay. Well, we can do that. Let me do that again. Take it off. And yeah, that tube I'm going to put basically bang in the middle about there. Now, in terms of getting that done, I feel like I'm missing a screwdriver. But if you want it about there, there we are. And we can pop this in, he says. Get the old wiggly wiggly wiggly. There we are. So then before we do any gluing, let's make sure it actually fits still. Okay. Poke that down the hole. And then can we get that wire back up this side? Because obviously I don't want to glue it in and then it turns out I can't get the wire up because that's a little bit of a problem. So let's see what we can do here. Fantabulous. So there's the sort of final result. This is starting to get really annoying. Have I got? I do! I still have these things, unless these will help at all. So this sort of on the desk stands. Sort of help. Which is very tail heavy at the minute. Right, so we can just glue that in as it is, I believe. So, glue out again. I've glued the lid on after saying it was so good. I jinxed it, apparently. Right, let's there we go. Is there any way I could run something in from the back side? That really hasn't stuck very well. That is one of the problems with the snake. I should have lifted it up a little bit, but never mind. I can see a little bit of it through the other side. Just seeing if I can dribble a bit on there as well. It's about a hair's a little bit. Well, there we are. So that is what the tube looks like. This is the first time I've ever used a single one. My dad did design and 3D print this bracket for the dual ones. That's for the Sky Surfer. I don't know how good that is, but we'll let it set. So now we've got to try and tell you what I'm going to do. Have some lead weights. I'm just going to chuck a lead weight in the nose to stop it tilting backwards. Right, so now I need to get this antenna attached. Okay, not sure if you can technically see any of this. No, you can't. I'm not having a good day. I've got a cracking headache starting as well. I'm not sure if we'll do as much today as I thought we were going to do, to be honest. You know, one of those headaches can start getting red hot too. Right, so in theory, we can pull all of this stuff back now. Okay, so that is in. I don't see why it would ever fall out in the air, so I'm not sure if I'm going to bother fixing it down anyway. So yeah, there's that. Again, the GPS can't really go into everything else that's in. So the last thing to really put in is our flight controller, which how does that work? I want it to be removable. That's the whole reason I downloaded this. Grrr! So do I just need to use thicker tape to get it above where the screws go in? But that seems a bit... So just to try and illustrate what I'm saying, that goes to double-sided tape on there, but it's covering the screws. I didn't expect that. I don't know why. Don't know what I expected. But not that. Screws luckily are quite flat, but yeah. Okay, so I think all we need to do then is sort of YOLO it slightly. I'm going to mount it that way up. I'll just mount it as far back as we can, I think. So in the back of the plane. Oh, that's heavy. Obviously you've got this rail system. This antenna is really annoying. I should have really put that on last, but never mind. Take these screws out. I'm just gonna move this a bit further back. Where is my magnets? Because I can magnetize this screwdriver. Down. Now that one down. Don't want to go too hard because with it being self-propelled you will just rip it out. That's that in, but again, does kind of make me think, why did I bother? I could have just glued in a bit of wood because I'm not going to be able to take it out again. Okay. And then we've got our flight controller, obviously. Everything's in there on the sides. I think this is ready to go into the plane. Got our good old friend, the Coloplast, double-sided foam tape. Perfectly wide, because it's 40 mil wide, and most sort of like your Nace 32s, which is what I bought this for, were like 38. Get the cables out of there if we can. No regrets, no regrets. Okay, so that is the flight controller in. Which means I might actually be able to do what I said I was going to do. Let's wire the, or just move the receiver through this whole car. How many screws have I got? Because I think I'm missing one. Great. Okay. Tell you what. Why did I put that magnet? Not put it too close to the flight controller. Oh, bloody hell. Do you ever start a job and wish you hadn't started it? That is me right now. There it is. Okay. So, let's get our power doohickeys for the wings in. I'm trying to screw it in from the wrong side now, like a pillock. I was about to say, if I don't lose this screw, I am a god. Really lost it.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Shut up, bloody thing. Scared the living shit out of me. Okay, so that's those in. Let me put that magnet out of the way now before it ends up on the flight controller and does some damage. So there's that. And then the real sort of last thing is the GPS. So, we're still recording, aren't we? Yes. You're at 33 minutes, so you can see in the YouTube video how much I've had to edit this down. And then arrow to the front. And oh voila. Right, a minute to Lou and we'll try and get that back in and get this GPS finished. Righty ho. So, I managed to feed that back in and get it stuck down. We've got the GPS in. We need to find somewhere we have the cover for that. A big one or a small one? It's a small one, I believe. That can just go on the back like that. And then, have we got any blend tape that isn't an awful colour? It's starting to go an awful colour, but we'll see how we manage. I'm starting to feel a little bit crappy. There we go. We can just smooth that down to make it a bit clearer. Not the best, but it doesn't look the best, but it's a nice strong tape. There we are. So that's on, keeping that in. That's through, that's through, that's through. We're essentially all ready to do wiring up. In fact, what I'm going to do first, before I forget and cause an explosion, is red to red. Just plugging in the rear motor and black to black. I can get the black out of there. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to do some untangling for later today, but I'm starting to feel a little bit rough. So that is it for today. But no, technically, everything is now in this. It just needs wiring up and plugging in and the sanity checking. But yeah, that might not be for a little while. As I say, either the video before this or the video after this will be the post-flight review of the Ek-55, so feel free to subscribe, or I guess check back on the channel if it's there or not. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything like that, please put it in the description, in the comments. But just as a reminder, this was kind of rushed. While I have the house to myself, I better do something, so that's what this was. So it's not my best work, I will freely admit that. But questions, feedback, likes. The main thing that this channel needs right now, because we actually have reached the threshold on the subscribers, is watch time. So if you can leave videos in the background running or whatever, basically, I don't need 1,000 people to watch it for a minute. I need less people to watch the whole thing through so I get watch time. But yeah, I'm going to go to bed. So yeah, everything's off, other than the lights, obviously. Oh, that was a satisfying one. Yes, I'm probably going to go and finish watching The Paper. I'm halfway through episode 1 and it's a bit meh. But I'm giving it time. I recently watched Motherland, which is a BBC series, if you're in the US, about sort of single mums. Well, not all of them are single, but they're either single mothers or kind of have shit husbands. Yeah. That is something where I watched the first couple of episodes, I thought meh, but then episode 3 and 4 it sort of came together and I really enjoyed the show. I watched all of it, I'm not watching anything else. And now I'm doing Amandaland, which is a spin-off with one of the characters obviously called Amanda. So yeah, we'll see how the paper goes, but yeah, there we are. Something a bit like that. And yeah, at some point I'll have to order some batteries, probably sooner rather than later, so that I can use my happy RC voucher, but I need to try and find something that's sensible. But that's going to be it. See you all in the next one. Bye bye.